past 5:30, so let's go ahead and get started. Our speaker tonight, while a lifelong Lutheran and lifelong learner, is an adult convert to the idea of classical education. It was in 2003? 2003. Right, in Laramie, Wyoming, that the Reverend Paul Cain was first introduced to classical education. So he did what anybody would do, and he spent all his money on books on Latin and classical pedagogy and all that sort of good stuff. Years later, he now serves as headmaster of Martin Luther Grammar School and Immanuel Academy in Sheridan. He also teaches online at Wittenberg Academy, another classical school, and works closely with the Consortium for Classical Lutheran Education. You have to say that slowly. If you ever hear CCLE, that's what it is, Consortium for Classical Lutheran Education, a national organization of Lutherans who are passionate about recovering the liberal arts among our youth, or should I say the liberated arts, since liberal has a number of different meanings now, as Pastor Cain pointed out this morning. Suffice it to say, when it comes to classical education, Pastor Cain knows what he's talking about. Pastor Cain has spent his entire ministry in the Wyoming district, first in Green River, then in Morrill, Nebraska, and now for 12 years at Immanuel in Sheridan. He's also done extensive work for the district, serving as a director of education. If you've ever been to the Tell the Good News About Jesus conference, thank Pastor Cain for that. And he now serves as first vice president. And while he has many titles, he is speaking tonight in his capacity as regent of the upcoming Luther Classical College. And it's worth noting that when he speaks as a Bible-loving, cross-focused, liturgy-chanting, catechism-reading Lutheran pastor. And it's that which forms him as a regent, as all of the other titles. So please join me in welcoming Pastor Paul Cain.
Imagine a college where students learn to value marriage and family over career and money. That men are men and women are women with God-given and beautiful differences in roles. That to be a father is greater than being the president, and to be a mother is greater than being a queen. That the Bible is the wisdom of God, far surpassing all the wisdom of men. That the Lutheran Church has the greatest theology, the best hymns, the most excellent music in the history of the world. That scripture, hymns, prayer, devotion, and talking about God belong in our homes every day. That children are a heritage from the Lord, the only thing in all the earth we can take to heaven with us. That piety is better than wealth, and virtue is better than fame. That the Western tradition, with its literature, philosophy, music, scientific discovery, and Christian theology, is by far the greatest tradition the world has ever seen. That socialism is theft, and wokeism is bullying. That Christian culture grows through supporting faithful churches and leading pious homes. This is the mission of Luther Classical College. Proudly and unapologetically Lutheran in liturgy, theology, and culture. We want to open in Casper, Wyoming in the fall of 2025. And we think that is possible. Even given the current facilities of Mount Hope Lutheran Church right there, that has 11 plus acres available to build on. Right next to the district office, which can lend us its library to get started. If you want to learn more, you can visit lutherclassical.org, or you can talk to teacher after class tonight while we have some Lutheran beverages and some snacks. The pictures that you've been seeing up on the monitor while I've been telling you about the college show you the foundation that has been laid at my school, Martin Luther Grammar School in Sheridan, Wyoming. It was founded in 2003, the same year I attended my first conference on classical Lutheran education, the other way to spell CCLE. I had no idea what I was missing out on. I'd gone to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, the honors program, Concordia Seminary, St. Louis, with some good profs, and I still felt like I was missing out on something. That conference helped me out to understand how Lutherans had educated before the way that most Americans are educated right now. Our school was founded in 2003. We're supported as a mission of Immanuel Lutheran Church by donations from folks in the community and the congregation, and the other half, tuition from the parents, which we've tried to keep very, very affordable. There's another 50-50 about the school I can tell you about. Half of them are Missouri Synod Lutheran, and half of them are everything else in town. We give them matins. We give them our hymns. We give them law and gospel. Every week at the 5 chapels, the kids get to hear the Old Testament lesson, the psalm, the epistle, the gospel, the catechism memory work explained in a sermon, and then a topical sermon that by the end of the week, depending on how it goes in the classroom, might be on honor your father and mother. We're sending you home to them this weekend. But father and mother are the foundation. Parents are a child's first teachers. That is how God set it up. So when parents choose to send their kids to whatever school, what we want to do a little bit differently is have them opt in to what we present so that we can be on their team as parents, honoring what we learned in the 4th commandment. One of the things I didn't learn until seminary was that Luther wrote a large catechism in addition to the small catechism, and in addition to the questions and answers that are the with explanation, partly written by C.F.W. Walther, partly written by Pastor Schwann, formerly of the ice cream fame too. Luther writes this under the 4th commandment in the large catechism. For if we wish to have excellent and able persons, both for civil and church leadership, we must spare no diligence, time, or cost in teaching and educating our children so that they may serve God and the world. We must not think only about how we may amass money and possessions for them. God can indeed support and make them rich without us, as he daily does. But for this purpose, he has given us children and issued this command: we should train and govern them according to his will. Otherwise, he would have no purpose for a father and a mother. Therefore, let everyone know that it is his duty, on peril of losing the divine favor, to bring up his children in the fear and knowledge of God above all things. And if the children are talented, have them learn and study something. Then they may be hired for whatever need there is. My first Christian school was Concordia Seminary, St. Louis. I had a public school education in my hometown. I went to the University of Nebraska only partly because of the football. And then off to St. Louis. The Missouri Synod has the 2nd largest parochial school system in the country. And Wyoming has all classical schools at its 5 grammar school locations of Sheridan, Casper, Riverton, Cheyenne, and Alliance, Nebraska. You've got to see that school building. They've done wonders with an old roller skating rink next to the YMCA across the street from an implement dealer. And they are growing like gangbusters. In fact, you might know one of their new teachers for this fall. Her last name is Wisroth. She's from this circuit. That's cross-pollination within the Wyoming district and is awesome. So let me narrate these pictures, and then we'll talk about what this leads to. The college we're proposing in Casper, Wyoming. We do public speaking. These are some of the students who wanted to have a picture with Pastor Cain. This is chapel. I get to speak right in front of the kids. This was one of our smaller years. Our scholars sing frequently. This is at a nursing home, and this is in the jury box during a citizenship ceremony. They sang the Wyoming song. This is Mrs. Russell, our teacher who's been there since 2003. This is one of our school parents on Engineering Day, very popular. The Pledge of Allegiance, we still do it at our school. There's chapel. An elder, even though they're shorter, helps a younger as chapel buddies, and it's the cutest thing in the world. That's the patch for Immanuel Academy, our 6th grade and up. This is our patch with the Luther seal for the grammar school. And there's the school itself with our sign right next to the flagpole. Yep, following along diligently at chapel. This is a Christmas program, and you can see the chancel with the blue cross at Immanuel. That's our new sign that the parent group bought for us. And there they are, going out for recess in a Wyoming winter. And we're back to our public speaker. At the school, not only do I have the privilege of being the headmaster, but I lead chapel 3 of the 5 days. I'm the guitar teacher. We, at our closing program, played Home on the Range, though this year we didn't sing it in Latin. Ut vivam quae omne sunt bufali. We did an acoustic chord jam using Fox chords. This is how you start E minor, right? And then while the littles sang We All Believe in One True God, Luther's Creed hymn, the elders played the melody, and then Pastor Cain came in to strum. And then we were off to the rest of the academic showcase. Before I move on to the college website, any questions about the grammar school? We're primarily talking about the college, but I don't want to neglect any questions.
I see they wear uniforms?
Yes, we wear uniforms. We try to make those pretty easy to get to. Khaki pants or navy pants, white, red, and navy polos, and then the patch is a magnet, so they don't have to worry about getting it embroidered from a certain vendor. Sometimes this is my uniform too. I get to mix it up a little bit more than the kids. Yeah, we do uniforms. The children bring their own lunches, and we've most consistently done kindergarten through 5th grade, though we have done 6th grade often, and on one occasion a whole round of 6th through 8th in person. Any other? Yes?
So did you guys have to wear masks last year then?
Great question. During the entire 2020-2021 school year, 0 masks, extra hand washing, but that's a good thing. Sharing your toys, washing your hands, don't pick your nose. Those are all good things that I think America should learn anyway. We did have an almost completely normal in-person school year. Desks were spread out a little bit more, and we had a couple of students use their iPads just like they did to finish the previous school year. When a parent or a family member tested positive, they were away until the doctor gave them clearance to come back. But worked out really well. We were very pleased with the school year. Even with the COVID restrictions and the shutdown, that last quarter, we were able to cover 85% of our lesson plans through technology, just like this. Pastor Castellero got to teach from his basement. We did live instruction every day, interacting with the young ones. It was a great privilege. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the college website. Again, this is lutherclassical.org. We've got some beautiful pictures up on the website. Let's call them aspirational, of what a college chapel should look like, of what the old main initial building and the dorms would look like. So on the About page, you'll get to read for yourself that Imagine section that I began to talk with. Here's the original prospectus, only slightly updated. When we first put this out, we were dreaming that we could do this fall of 2024. And yeah, that was a dream. That's what you do with a prospectus. Now it's been updated to what we really think we can pull off, given what we know and who we know and who we have. There's a need for this because, in part, the great amount of debt that a lot of students leave college or seminary or both with Personally, it took me 11 and a half years to pay off my loans, and that was with help and a generous help from the Wyoming district, because we didn't have as many students at college or seminary that particular year. They gave it to one of the new guys in the Wyoming district. The goal is to have very affordable tuition. What do I mean by that? The lowest tuition that you'll typically see for a college in the US of A is $17,500 a year. And then housing, food, books, etc. We have a very ambitious goal of $8,500 a year for tuition. Why? We think that's how much you can earn as a college student over the summer working full-time for 3 months. And then you can go to school and do the same thing the next summer and not have a massive load of debt, delaying marriage, delaying parenthood. That's one of the ideas that is really attractive to me and why they talked me into being a regent. The next section has the plan, and there's yet a different church idea. Here are some of the accomplishments that we've gotten done so far. This is a really new effort. I'm talking tonight in July of 2021. Even that sounds futuristic, right? The Board of Regents was finalized in August of 2020. We met twice online, of course. We had to use Zoom, right? Everybody had to use Zoom. We've had subcommittee meetings, and we've had a ton of emails and a lot of work on an app called Slack. Some of you know what that is. We filed articles of incorporation in 2020 with the state of Wyoming. They were approved. April of 2021, we've got our 501c3 tax status filed with the IRS. We're still waiting and trying to be patient, but you know how that works. This website only launched in April. I think it's particularly awesome. We're using a lot of the art that is seen in the magazine. I need to tell you about that, and on the brochures. The first printing of the magazine happened in April. We sent it out to everybody who we thought might be interested, and we're still getting more requests. Everybody that received it has been asked to officially subscribe, but you can read articles on a special part of the website. You can download a copy so you won't miss out on a thing. Great articles from people that you already know, and some new friends that you should probably make, at least intellectually. The first in-person meetings of the Board of Regents happened at the district office in Casper, Wyoming in June. We had to hike Casper Mountain, of course. But the 13 of us worked very well as a committee of the whole. We found a lot of consensus already about a logo that we can use on some really nice looking swag, because you know, college, you gotta have college swag. No, we won't have a football team, but we are seriously talking about biathlon, Nordic skiing, and it is Wyoming, so hey, shooting. We do have goals for the future too. There's a new issue of Christian Culture, our magazine, in process. It's going to be awesome. I've seen what the prospectus looks for that. We have a goal to raise about $600,000 from 30 ongoing supporting congregations by the end of 2021. That is an ambitious goal. It really is. But once you see what we have to offer on the website to show you what the plan is, and if you've walked in my boots on the land in Casper, Wyoming, and see what you can do with that 11 acres, it feels a whole lot more real. And to look in the distance at 40 more acres, including a nice little hill where we have plans for a proposal gazebo at the top of the hill, land, some money in the bank, and a really decent plan, it really feels real. We can do this. And it's a worthy cause. Winter of 2021, we want to have the 3rd issue of the magazine, and no, we're not going to call it an academic journal. We want it more approachable than that. And to have lay people and parents of prospective college students and the prospective college students reading the articles and getting a sense of the Christian culture that we believe is faithful to Scripture and the Lutheran confessions. In the future, we know we need a full-time development officer to do visits like this. People who know people. I'm a parish pastor. I'm not trained in raising money. I want to teach guitar. I want to teach public speaking. I want to preach Jesus and visit Grandma Schmidtke at home and in the nursing home. So let's let some experts do that sort of thing for us. But we want the groundswell of support from congregations in Wyoming and around Synod, so that lots of friends who see the value in what we're trying to pull off can provide that for the young people who will graduate, get married, have children, and be productive members of LCMS congregations all over the Synod. On that, I need to read a quote. Katie Schuerman sent us this after she heard about the college. She called me up and asked some questions. She has presented to the pastors' wives here in the Wyoming district before and is coming back next summer. She says, give me a plumber who reads Virgil, a carpenter who plays the pipe organ, and a pastor who recognizes a strong trochaic foot. That's poetry. Give me a world full of thinking men and women educated in the liberal arts who confess Christ in their vocations, debate the sanctity of life in the public square, and discuss Tocqueville over supper. Give me a neighborhood full of graduates from Luther Classical College, and I will look forward to tomorrow. That's pretty pithy and very memorable. I'm honored to have received that in my email box and then send it to the pastor in Casper who put it up on the website. It shows what we're trying to do. An associate's degree, 2-year, where you can also learn how to be a plumber, an electrician, gunsmith, it is Wyoming, some other vocation, but have a well-rounded liberal arts education so that you know about stuff and you can have conversations about important things as you raise the next generation yourself. Or you could stay on for a full bachelor's degree. One general, broadly liberal arts education bachelor's degree, accredited by tracks, which means, yeah, we need to have 3 PhDs, smart guys on campus, and somebody to fill out the fun paperwork for that. But by 4th year, if you want to be a Lutheran school teacher, oh great, Mount Hope Lutheran School is right there for you to do your student teaching. You can do your practicum right there across the street from the parking lot where you live. If you want to be a pastor, now we're going to teach you Hebrew. You come in already knowing Latin, where you do that special before enrollment. Learn Koine, New Testament Greek, just like your pastor knows. And I try to keep up after 20 years in the ministry. But then 4th year, learn biblical Hebrew to read the Old Testament in the original. But maybe you don't want to go to seminary and you don't want to be a school teacher. Well, then there's a translation track where you can put to use your Greek and your Latin and translate all of those books from our Lutheran and Christian heritage that haven't been made available in English or Spanish or other languages yet. Imagine the service to the church that could be. And then we're still dreaming. More cumulative supporting congregations who get follow-up presentations to show that we're actually doing what we said we want to do. Planned completion of construction in 2025, I'm going to call that flexible. I would love them to look out the windows of the board of directors meeting room in the district office on a bulldozer, fall of 2025, worst case scenario. That would be awesome. So that's the plan. Any questions at this point?
Did you mention doors?
Yes, we are planning on having dorms. One of the plans that I've seen has the equivalent of 2 or 3 dorms. Whatever we can do on that very interesting geography right next to the district office. The dirt work alone is going to be very expensive. But the trustees, the lay people of Mount Hope have done their homework, and they know what's possible, and they know how much it costs too. Yeah, we're looking at doing dorms. We're not quite sure how we're going to do the food yet. That is also honestly up for debate among the regions. We've got a little time.
I just think it's interesting, growing up in Wyoming, that we have this idea that if everybody has a college education, the world will be a better place. So we have things like the halfway,
Right.
and different ways to make college more affordable. I think most in-state, or a lot of in-state graduates from UW don't have a ton of student debt like we see across the country. So there's this idea, but it didn't work, right? Like the world's not a better place since Hathaway came in, or since college became more affordable, only in Wyoming. And I love your quote from Martin Luther at the beginning of the Large Catechism, that education at a young age is for the sake of education, but then higher up, train somebody in something, and then they'll get a job. I mean, I love Katie's quote about, I love if my plumber knew Latin. And you want to say, why does that matter? And it matters because if you're getting an associate's degree in the classics, you're also being exposed to daily chapel, and you're being taught by theology, at least by pastors. I mean, there's all this good stuff going into it, as well as learning how to be a gunsmith or a plumber or an electrician.
Having a broad liberal arts education means, if I may paraphrase one of our other CCLE friends, Dr. E. Christian Kopf, that you're not only narrowly specialized into one discipline that could someday be replaced, and then you need to get completely retrained. In a video that he did for CCLE, Dr. Kopf, who is part of the classics department in Boulder, is that right? He said, a liberal arts education will prepare you for the jobs that don't exist yet, to create the books that haven't been written yet, to read and understand the books that haven't been written yet. It's really an old-fashioned education you get now that prepares you for the future, so you can do anything. Think about what Luther was able to accomplish. Think about what the founding fathers were able to accomplish. This is the kind of education that they received. This is the kind of education that Dorothy Sayers, C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien were talking about, the Narnia and the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings authors. This is what they wanted to get rebooted. And it's very exciting. If you see what Luther and Melanchthon and Sturm did 500 years ago, this is what they brought back, because if we're reading the New Testament in Greek, then we can read all of that classical literature in Greek. They were still doing some services in Latin, but keeping it as a living language in the cathedral schools. They could read Cicero. They could read Caesar. They could read all of those old guys and gals and have the wisdom of the ancient world present. It's so exciting to see throughout history how people have brought forward, with what we now call classical education, how the ancient Greeks and the Romans taught their children, which was different from how they taught their employees or slaves. They did have slaves. Yeah. Any other questions at the moment? Let me show you another part of the website. There's a page that says support, and we are asking you to prayerfully consider supporting, whether individually or as a congregation. I'm working on my own congregation too. We need to set our budget in October and approve it in December, and let everybody argue about it for a couple of months. You know how things work. But I'm encouraging our congregation to pledge about $1,000 each year for 4 years. And then if other congregations join us, bit by bit, it adds up, just like those mites in the LWML mite boxes that are so ubiquitous around the synod. And in my congregation, we've got a very active men's Bible study group. They have paint cans. Those are their mite boxes, and I'm going to ask them to help too. You can promote the college. There's Luther playing a lute. I'm convinced that he composed some of his melodies on this guitar-like instrument, just as inside. We are going to keep adding more documents to this page, and I've got some of them printed out here for you if you'd like to see them or take them home. We've got a nice look of the prospectus and a call of support, along with the names of all 13 regents that you can call us up and talk to us in real life. We love to do that. And then a poster version of the Imagine College. I'm going to skip over the magazine for just a moment to the contact page that you can email us, you can call us. There's separate emails for general inquiries, donations, and the magazine. And here are all of the regents. There are pastors, there are lay people, there are Wyoming folks within 150 miles of the campus, and there are folks that are further away. We want this to have a lot of Wyoming ownership. We expect the Wyoming district president, whoever he may be for however long the college is in existence, to be the ecclesiastical supervisor, since he's going to be right next door. We've got lay people who really care about this kind of education and care about faithful Christians coming home from college. Think about the people you know that have been to St. Andrew's Campus Center and then came home or went out into the world and are a blessing at whatever congregation they're in. My current congregational chairman is younger than I am, and he is a product of what we've been putting our mission dollars in at St. Andrews. We want to have similar success with this.
Two of the people on that list went to St. Andrews.
Yeah.
One of them is the pastor at St. Andrews.
Yeah, that's right. And his brother.
And his brother.
And his
That
brother.
is true.
That's right. We're very blessed. As I mentioned with some of you privately, I know the parents or grandparents of some of these men, and that's very humbling. But hey, you pass on the faith to the next generation, and then you pass on the faith to the next generation. Thanks be to God. The website has a special page just for the magazine. It's called Christian Culture, so it's www.cc.lutherclassical.org. Here's how the website describes it. We reach and guide people to establish and maintain Christian culture in the home, church, and state, specifically with an aim towards creating a school where Lutherans learn a classical Christian education and can meet, marry, and learn to raise families, support local congregations, and be the salt of the earth. Christian Culture, a magazine for Lutherans. I kind of want to read it again. And here's the one issue. You can download that and you can read it yourself, print off a copy. There's a special way that we're working on to look at individual articles that you can print off in larger print for study and sharing. So that is Christian culture. Pastor, that's most of what I have presented for tonight. I can field questions on the college or classical education in general.
As you said at the beginning, sometimes it's easier to go talk to the teacher after class.
That'll work.
So, one-on-one, I just want to say, or just want to ask, if I'm graduating high school in 2025,
Yes.
or my kid is, or my grandkid is, why should they go here? If you can get, a bumper sticker answer for that.
Oh, a bumper
Or a Twitter
sticker
answer has 140 characters.
The tuition is going to be cheaper than anybody else. If we're going to look at just practicality, and don't we do that in voters' meetings and synod conventions? Practically split. Practically said, it's going to be a less expensive education. It's going to be higher quality. Parents and students themselves can trust the faculty not to undermine what the parents taught at home and what the pastor says in the pulpit in Bible class. And you might meet your future spouse.
And if I go to a public school, can I still go there?
Yes.
Public high school?
Yes. You may need to study Latin independently with your pastor, or prepare to come a little bit early so we can get you qualified. And prepare to take what's called the Classical Learning Test. This is a new alternative to the SET and ACT, and it's accepted by some of the Concordias already. Highly respected.
Oh, you have a question?
Please. Out of state? No difference in tuition anticipated for in-state or out-of-state. In fact, we expect lots of out-of-state folks because there's more people in Denver than in Wyoming. Please.
If somebody comes up and asks me, why did you name your school Martin Luther Classical School? What would be a very simple answer to that?
So my school or the college?
Both.
Okay, both. We love the Christian example of Martin Luther, who, when it would have been easier to just recant and shut up, he made the good confession before God and Caesar and the church for the sake of people's souls, because he cared about the truth that much. In Sheridan, we do have some confusion. The Roman Catholic ladies invited our school children to sing at a joint tea. There was no prayer fellowship, but they called us Immanuel Lutheran School. They didn't say Martin Luther Grammar School. Occasionally when we're given a donation, the check's made out to Martin Luther King School. There's a difference between the African American civil rights activist who denied the virgin birth and the Trinity and Martin Luther, the German fellow. But we smile, we say thank you, and we try to share a little bit about why the small catechism is important to us. And grace alone, faith alone, scripture alone, Christ alone, to God's glory alone is a great way to run the church. And then, well, there's so many Concordias. And it's a word that means harmony, and I love the word, but sometimes being just a little bit more distinct and back to roots, more people can tell you who Luther is than what Concordia means, even in the Missouri Synod. Yeah, thank you for that.
How many are you attendance-wise?
That's a great question. For 2025 to start, we're looking at between 20 and 50 students. This depends on what kind of housing arrangements we can work out that we trust the landlords if we don't have dorms by that point. That means we'll have 2 or 3 professors to cover the course load, and they don't let you get accredited before you open. So we need to have some expertise and some time in the saddle before we'll apply the tracks. So rather modest to begin, and not everybody will be there for the 4 years. Some will want 2 years and then a trade school, or concurrent if they really want to be ambitious and learn air conditioner repair on the side of Virgil. Yeah. We just did a Q&A in Houston during the CCLE conference, and I've got all kinds of updated answers for questions.
For types of dorms, are you thinking of, this maybe because you don't even know if you're having dorms, hasn't been a discussion, but are you thinking a more traditional dorm sense where it's like 2 people in 160 square feet, or kind of the more apartment style dorms where everyone has their own room and maybe a shared living space?
This is honestly a discussion that we're still undergoing because we haven't met with an architect or finalized anything or signed anything. But it's important to us that they not spend all day alone in a dorm room by themselves. We want them out studying, enjoying Wyoming, but having conversations with their professors and peers. So we're looking towards smaller, but yeah, 2-person rooms probably. Yeah, nothing is set just yet, but we're trying to shape a particular culture that doesn't isolate, but allows for people to mingle in appropriate ways and talk about important things.
Very good. Well, Pastor Cain is available all evening long with more questions, so please join me in thanking him.